What's going on? It's your boy Lionel, class of 2009, back with another episode of PV versus everybody. And listen, you're in again with another recap show. We're in with the recap show with myself, my co-host, Mr. Kerry Mickens, and also special guest, Coach Heish Northern. And so before we bring the guys up on the screen, man, gotta let you know, hey, if you want the full, if you want the on spot recap, listen, drop the video live yesterday. Make sure you check that one out. All right, because that's the on the spot, that's the unfiltered recap right now. Because this the filter recap show, but yesterday was the unfiltered recap. So if you want to catch that one, you're gonna have to tune in on that one that we dropped on yesterday. Because we gotta be a little different here. You know what I'm saying on the Sunday evening show. You know what I mean? But with that said, first and foremost, y'all already know what we got to do, man. If you have not done so yet, man, make sure you follow us on both platforms, PV_verse_everybody, Instagram and on Twitter as well. Also, listen, make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. All right, the goal is 1,000 subscribers, right? You know what I'm saying? The goal is 1,000 subscribers. So if you have not done so already, if you've been watching, you've been checking this out, man, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead and like that video. It's going to put that in that algorithm, right, and shoot it out to others that need to be here and catch this recap, you know what I'm saying, and catch some of the stuff that we talk about each and every week. Some of your favorite segments, is here on the recap show with Coach Heish Northern. So you definitely got to check that out. And now, also, before we get into it, I'll bring the guys up. You already know what we got to do, man. Got to talk a little bit about, that PV alumni, Jeff McKissick, right? He's a Texas licensed loan officer with Fairway Independent Mortgage Company, and he'll help guide you seamlessly through the home buying process. See, many of us are unaware of our credit scores or our true financial standing, but listen, Jeff will help you develop a step-by-step plan to make your dream of owning a home achievable sooner than you think. See, many of us, again, have problems that we need to solve, but listen, don't let the fear of achieving new heights hold you back from getting the home of your dreams. Perfect for your growing family and for watching those PV watch parties. All right, so get started now, taking the first steps towards your new home and taking the next big step in your life. Don't delay. Talk with Jeff today so you can be in your home tomorrow, right? You know what I'm saying? And so after he gets that loan in place, I already told y'all what we're going to do, man. Listen, I got you, all right? And I believe just as God has a special place for you in heaven, right? He said he go to prepare a place for you. I believe that he also has a special place for you to be and to reside while you're here on this earth. And so we're just partnering together with him to help prepare a place for you. And after we find that place, you already know what we got to do, man. We got to get you in contact with that PV alumni, Neil Harris. So when you're thinking big about your home purchase and want a thorough assessment of your biggest investment, you owe it to yourself to contact Big. That's Blueprint Improvement Group. Big provides home inspections in the greater Houston area and is owned and operated by proud PV mechanical engineer alum Neil Harris. He has experienced inspectors who use advanced tools and techniques to assess every aspect of your property from the roof to the foundation. So visit thinkbig.com or text 713-259-0673 to book your home inspection. Support the team that supports the team. And so we call this the home team because it's literally the home team. 3 PV alum, right? 3 individuals that's going to help you to get into that property of your dreams. And listen, if you got an investment property you're trying to get together to, we can help you with that as well, right? So it ain't just got to be homes, right? You know what I'm saying? If you're looking for an investment property, we got you with that as well. But that said, man, I got to bring my guys up on the screen. And Mr. Mickens, Coach Northern, how you guys doing this evening, man? What's going on?
I'm just now stopping my laughing at your live last night. I'm glad I didn't see it when you were doing it.
Hey,
but
listen,
that game inspired me to put my dog training shirt back on. And man,
the dogs was out yesterday, so you know what I mean.
Yeah,
Mr. Wilson said he's not tired from last night post game show.
yeah, you were going in, man. I said I listened to it today, but yeah, it was pretty funny. I'm tired though, and I didn't even do the live with you. I lost my voice. It was way too much going on.
Coach Northern, how are you? You muted. Oh, let me.
Hold on.
Oh, there you go.
Did I
There
do
you go.
that?
You good. You good. You good.
Okay. So before we get started, I want to, I guess, give a shout out slash prayer message for Ken Rashard with HBCU Sports. So
That's
I've
right.
been knowing Ken a good while since I've been coaching at Graham because he is a Grambling alum, and I recently purchased his book, and I didn't realize how much I could say his foundation with Grambling is very similar to my foundation, starting with Southern, being that my aunt lived close by Southern campus, and we could hear the band playing and sneak over and watch band practice. I had an uncle that coached; he was a grad assistant at Southern, so I know he had open heart surgery. I understand that he's back at home and doing somewhat well as can be expected. So I want to definitely send a prayer out and a thank you to him for helping me along the way, and sort of like on the media side. And if I gave him a call, he would help me do some things behind the scenes. So I definitely want to give him a shout out. Now look, so this classic has come full circle for me. So I told y'all when Adam was a younger kid, he used to miss school on Friday. Hopefully my dad not listen because he'll get mad. But Adam would miss school on Fridays and travel with the team. And now he's a freshman at Prairie View, and he for the most part, drove us all the way to Ennis, Texas. So look, I'm wearing a Prairie View shirt and a guy, and I need to find out from the Prairie View fans, can I have this honor of I'm walking in the Buc-ee's and a guy says to me, he says, PV, and I just look at him. I don't say anything. And I just tell him, I say, hey, man, I didn't go to school at Prairie View, but my son does. So he tells me and Adam, he's like, man, you got to get your dad hip to what he's supposed to say. I know what I'm supposed to say, but I don't know if I can. So it's like, to me, that's like me wearing an Omega Sigma Kappa shirt almost. So, but if somebody says to me, who you're rooting for, then I say PVU, but I don't get into you know what I'm saying? So I want to know, is it okay for Coach Northern to get a in the mix? So look, that's one thing this weekend. Another thing, I'm standing outside where the buses and the locker rooms are, and I just see some people looking at me, and so I just basically say like, hey, I see you guys looking. Am I supposed to know who you guys are or whatever? So something like that. So, they basically said that, we see you on the show, and they heard me on Mike Prince show, and it's almost like they were saying that I bash Prairie View fans. And I simply said to them, and this is my opinion, because I've been around the SWAC a long time, I said, I feel like Prairie View has some passionate fans, but they don't affect the game. So I say I've coached at Prairie View, and I've maybe in all the 20 years I've probably been associated with Prairie View, I can remember maybe one time Prairie View getting an offsides penalty because their fans were real loud. So I said, I have been at Mumford Stadium, which is where Southern play their home games, and not being able to hear on the headsets. I have been at Grambling at a night game against Jackson State and not be able to hear on the headsets for either team when I play. I've been at Jackson Memorial and not be able to hear on the headsets. And even when we played at Jackson, I've seen the crowd affect the game. That is what I said about Prairie View fans. And I also said that we should have more fans. And I'm saying we, because my son go to school there, we should have more fans at some of these home games. Don't be the church folks, Christmas, Easter, and other holiday that the Christians show up for. So that's what I was saying to the guy. So that was my weekend in a nutshell. But I had a great time at the game. Look, now y'all boy Adam got lost on. Oh, this the other thing too. Adam goes to the game, doesn't have on the Prairie View shirt. So I says to him, and my bad, Adam, typical Prairie View fan. So we laughed about that. Now here I am after the game, I'm sitting over there by the big old horses, by the buses. Man, him and his little cousin nowhere to be found. So there's a full circle. Adam go from riding the bus. Now I'm sitting on here waiting on him like the drunk uncle, waiting on him to come pick me up or something. So I had a great time. But y'all Prairie View fans, let me know what I'm supposed to say. Can I say or how y'all want me to act?
Hey, y'all let us know in the chat. We gotta get a poll up. Actually, I'm gonna put a poll up.
We gotta get a poll for that one.
We're gonna put a poll up and see. You know what I'm saying? Can Coach Northern say, can he get a response? You know what I'm saying? Is he an honorary member? Because he's a Southern grad. He coached at Grambling too. You know what I mean? But he did coach at PV, right?
I did. I don't have a degree from Prairie View, so I might have to go find some kind of easy way to give me a minor or something like that from Prairie View.
There you go. Kicker right there. There you go. Because see, when you're an alum, right, you know what I'm saying, you ain't got to ask us no questions, right? You know what I'm saying? You just do what you do, right? You know what I mean?
Let me know how much of a donation I need to give. Y'all might give me an honorary or something if I donate or something.
He said, "Hey,
don't say that in front of Coach Jackson. It'll be a big number."
Hey, Boom. Hey, listen, Boom. You know what I'm saying? Has opined that you can. Okay, you know what I'm saying? We got QK laughing in chat. Elvin say you good. You know what I'm saying? Hit that. You know what I'm saying? Jared say we give Coach a pass.
Appreciate that. Hey, you know what? Another thing. How many of y'all saw Coach Jackson run down the sideline to call that timeout? And I meant to text him earlier today or give him a call. But I had to take a long nap after that ride. So if anybody, y'all text him and check up on him. So I'm going to mess with him when I talk to him because I'm supposed to go on campus Monday or Tuesday. But we need to check on Coach Jackson, make sure he good.
Hey, Lisa say you pay tuition.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Go ahead. Okay.
Look, the Delta said you all right.
And QK say you was on payroll. Okay. Not only do you pay tuition.
Hey, so man, count.
Look, I got a lot on and I ain't been drinking today, so I just got a lot on my mind. The other thing is, man, I went to the bookstore the other day or tried to go to the bookstore to buy me some Prairie View hats and a shirt. Why the bookstore only open on Monday and Tuesday, man? I was hurt.
Bookstore be having crazy hours a lot of times.
Man, I was hurt.
The bookstore do. I don't know when you're supposed to go.
Some crazy hours.
Yeah.
Nah, that's what's up. So we don't need to create a poll. It seemed like it's a unanimous decision. Coach
Appreciate
Norton, welcome to the family. So so for your first official, since we don't
here we go.
Everybody, you know what I'm saying?
Let
me get a PV. Okay, there we go. Listen, we in there. So next time you at the gas station, you know what to do. Okay, you know what to do. But hey, man, it was an exciting weekend. HBCU football. We said it last week. It was a lot of great games that was going down. Not just the ones that you look at and say, hey, man, these are maybe potentially contenders per se, right? But I think all up and down that list of games, you look and said, man, these are some great games to maybe consider and see what's going on. Yes. We have a sighting here, guys. We have a sighting. Somebody has come out of hiding.
You have to ask Crook, is it okay for him to say
I'm happy. That means he's reached the second stage of grief. Okay, he's now to the second stage. And Tony says, Coach, great analogy. We have church fans, Christmas, yes. New Year's, Easter. Hey, that's a good.
That's a good one there.
And I know later on we're gonna have to bring it up because we had a little offline conversation. So sometime later on in the show, before we get off, I want you to kind of share some of those thoughts that we were talking about a little bit earlier too, as well, in terms of like really building what we're trying to build here now. But with that said, man, let's really get into this weekend. Let me get these games up on the screen, man, because I think we had a lot of great ones, right, this past week. And so I really think that, man, if we're going to that we got to really talk about, kind of what we saw from this weekend with all of these games that went down. So, obviously, we got the Prairie View Grambling game, right? We're not going to get into that one starting off, right? But let's look at the Bethune-Cookman, Alabama.
Oh, my goodness.
Bethune-Cookman, Alabama A&M, 10-7 game at the end of the first. Bethune-Cookman scores 20 points in the second quarter. goes up 27-17 at halftime, right? Ends the third quarter up by 7, right? 31-38 to 34. Actually, 3 points, 31-34, and then ends the fourth quarter by scoring 7 points and only allowing 3 from Alabama A&M, and gets out with the victory. What are you guys' thoughts on this particular game? You know, when you look at the stats, I believe Bethune-Cookman outgained Alabama A&M 516 yards to 481. I don't think either team wanted to play deep. I don't even know if they brought their defenses at all. Third down efficiency, 11 for 18 for Alabama A&M, 8 of 11 for Bethune-Cookman. You also had 257 passing yards for Bethune, 355 for Alabama A&M. Bethune, 259 rushing yards, 7.4 yards an attempt. 2 turnovers for both teams, right? Fumble and an interception for A&M, 2 interceptions for Bethune-Cookman, right? And Alabama A&M with about 3 more minutes time of possession. What's your thoughts on this game? Anything stood out? Did you guys check this game out at all? Did you watch the replay? Just let me know.
Now, I didn't see any of it, but my first thought process was when I looked at those third down conversions, both teams' quarterbacks led in the play, and it was a very even. If you look at the numbers, they pretty even, minus that 259 yards rushing. So I can see how you get a score like that. But hey, man, people better stop sleeping on Bethune over there.
Yeah, and also don't forget it's hard to play down there in Daytona. It's kind of different weather. It's a different place to play, and you know, it's not a very friendly environment for the visiting team. I think that rushing yards, those are probably plays that you thought you had them at 3rd and 3, and they get 6 yards on the carry, and those are backbreakers right there.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I did not know that they would beat Alabama A&M. My apologies to Bethune, because I thought they were going to walk in there and make the East pretty interesting with a win.
Yeah, well, I mean, the East still is very interesting, right? After this game, I think you're just looking at a different team that makes it that much interesting. But also, I think Alabama A&M is still in there as far as a team that can make things interesting, because you now have 2 teams on the East side of things that can put up a lot of points. Bethune-Cookman now, this is the second game and really the third game now in a row that they've been able to put some points up on the board, right? And so when you look at kind of what they've been able to do, they're making some teams have to go back and say, all right, how can we have an answer for what they're looking to do on the ground and also in the air? And it's, when you talk about Bethune being able to put up over 200 yards in both arenas, that's a lot different than, say, Alabama A&M, who had 355 passing yards, right? And so okay, listen, this team is a team that want to put the ball in the air. It's a team that want to get the ball to their receivers in this specific way, and so we can just focus on kind of taking one thing away from them. Well, what Bethune is showing is that, man, we can put some yards, gain some yards in multiple ways. And so that, again, right, is going to be something that a lot of these teams, right, we talk about the FAMU, the Alabama States, the Jacksons over on the east side. And then also a big thing, too, is now you got to consider and say, who does Alabama A&M, who does Bethune-Cookman play that's on the west side of things, that now they can also cause some troubles on what happens and how the West ends up being won. And so I think this is really something that's really really going to be big, man, as we continue to go through this SWAC schedule. But thought Bethune would play well. Didn't know if they could have enough to get over the hump and get that win. But now, Coach, if you are coaching for Bethune-Cookman now, right? It's his 3rd year. I think is a contract year, right? Where do you have to be now in your mind? How good do you have to feel at this moment of time to have your first SWAC victory, right, and starting out SWAC play 1-0? And I don't know what Bethune-Cookman schedule is. I'll pull it up as you kind of give your thoughts on that, Coach.
Well, I think the biggest thing is you sort of clicking on offense right now. You're doing enough on defense to get some wins. You praying and whatever you have to do to hope you can stay healthy at that quarterback spot and hope your running game keep clicking and you can outscore some people. because it's all about in SWAC play a lot of times. If you can't blunt force trauma people, you better have a quarterback that can keep you in some games and keep you in them long enough to where your defense might make a play or two. It's almost like maybe arena league football where you just need 1 or 2 stops in order to win a Big 12 football to win some games. So you just got to hope that all you guys do what they supposed to do, stay out of trouble, and the injury bug don't bite. You might, and I say you have to, it depends on what position guys play. You have to practice a little bit different, as well as make sure those guys buy into the weight room, which I'll talk about a little bit later today as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, that I think that's listen, that's factual. Now, Mr. Carey, looking at the next the next 7 for Bethune, right, as they get in the SWAC play, they do have Alabama State right now immediately, another team that looks like they're rolling, that can not only put up points on offense, but also still has a solid defense. They follow that up with a game at home against Southern, at home against Arkansas Pine Bluff, and then at home against Valley. 3 straight home games for Bethune-Cookman. Then they go to Grambling, they go to Jackson, and they end at Florida A&M, obviously, with the big Florida Classic. But the way that this schedule is even spread out, right, even if they can't get over the Alabama State hump, I mean, you gotta feel really, really excited about your chances if you're Bethune against those next 4 games, right? Southern, Pine Bluff, Valley, Grambling. By that time, even if you lost to Alabama State could have possibly taken a loss somewhere else, right? And so you still could be in a great position as far as winning the East. I know it sounds crazy to a lot of people, but you can be in a great position and now you say, hey, man, maybe now it's a 1-game playoff with us in Jackson, right? Or maybe, right, these last 2 games, it's a Russian roulette that now we've entered in because maybe it's a 3-way tie, right? And I feel like this year it's a lot of parity all over the SWAC, but especially in the SWAC East, as I think they haven't seen in the last few years. But what's your thoughts on Bethune's schedule and how it lines up ending the year?
Yeah, I think that they, with the games they have between now and the Jackson State game, it could be a lot at stake at that game. The Grambling game, they got to go to the hole. That may be tough, but I can see that game actually being of some importance right now, especially if there's the way their schedule looks like it's going to line up. With them giving up so many yards passing, they may be susceptible to, not getting past Alabama State. But those other teams, I think they'll have enough defense for them, and looks like they've found their offense as well. So those teams in the middle before Jackson State, they're not at the top in defense. So will be interesting to see how that plays out.
Yeah, the only thing is Bethune got to also find their footing as far as defense is concerned too, because their defense hasn't been well as well. And looking at Alabama A&M, I mean, strong start to the year, right? Lost to Arkansas, but then reeled off 3 straight against Alcorn, Tennessee State, and Lane. But then the big loss to Bethune-Cookman, which is the first SWAC game of the year because Alcorn State was a non-conference game. And so now you look at what they got coming up, right? They come off of that Bethune loss, right? And again, you're thinking that, man, after those first 3 games, you get a win at Bethune, then you go to Jackson, right? Or you get Jackson at home. But now it puts you in a completely different mindset and position, having Jackson coming in at that point, right? But I think Alabama A&M, you're looking at the rest of their schedule and how it lines up. Mr. Mickens, what's your thoughts and feeling now that you've seen a full 5 games from Alabama A&M? How do you feel they line up? Because it looks like their team, even with their backup quarterback in, Hunt still can put up a lot of points on the board, still can gain a lot of yardage. So they can definitely score, looks like, with the best of them. But defense just isn't where it needs to be. They got a lot of tough games on this slate. When I look at it, like, they got Jackson, they got Alabama State, they got a Prairie View, they got a FAMU, which again, FAMU, I think, even though they took that big loss to Alabama State, they still think they're tough out. And then you also got a Texas Southern team that just seems like they just are grinding games out, right? We'll talk about their game.
Yeah, they don't give up. Yeah.
So how do you feel right now about Alabama A&M with what they got left in the year?
I think the way, unless they can find their footing on their rush defense, they got a lineup of teams that like to run the ball, because even with Alabama State, Andrew Body can sling the ball around, but they will run the ball on you. And you couldn't tell by our defense, but Grambling has a really good rushing attack. But you couldn't tell because of the way that we played them. But yeah, and Jackson State loves to run the ball. So this past weekend was the most I've seen them throw. So I think that they're going to just attack them on the ground, being that it looks like they're not real good at stopping the run. So starting with this upcoming weekend's game, they're going to have to figure out something on that rush defense.
Yeah, they definitely gonna have to figure something out. So let's keep it moving. I think I saw somebody that popped in. I don't know who that was, but we do got the call lines open. 805-706-5770. 805-706-5770. If you want to call in and share your thoughts on any of the games that you've seen. I also dropped that link in the chat. I think that must have been Bell. I didn't see you, Bell, when you popped in. So if you pop back, I can pull you up. Let's keep it going. Let's get back and look at the next game right on the SWAC slate from this past weekend. Again, had a lot of great games. Some games that really came down to the end of things, and some games that didn't have as much intrigue. Right. Next up, Alabama State, Florida A&M. Again, Alabama State 14-6 at halftime, but then goes off in the second half and scores 28 unanswered, 28 points. Florida A&M with 8 at the end of the fourth quarter. Had hosts, and what's interesting in this game when you look at the box score, Andrew Body only 10 for 18 for 106 yards. Did have 2 passing touchdowns though, right? But again, not a lot of yards through the air, but man, they ate on the ground, right? 135 yards from Jamari Holdsclaw on 22 carries, 8 carries of 40 yards for Body. Ligon 5 for 35, Kirkendall 3 for 33. Right? Again, they just ate up all up and down as far as putting the ball on the ground. FAMU 176 rushing yards, led by Thad Franklin, 13 for 75 on a touchdown, and then 20 for 33 for 133 yards and a touchdown for R.J. Johnson. And at some point in time during this game, what we were told is that there was a chant for change the QB. Okay, I mean, Coach, what's your thoughts on this game? And what's your thoughts on being in a situation where you have a quarterback that maybe throughout the offseason, maybe in fall camp, you saw them be able to get it done. You saw them beat out the guy who was behind them, but now you're in a situation where it doesn't seem as if the offense is clicking as well, and now, I mean, you're losing game, right? You're dropping games, right? But you may feel that this guy's still the best guy that gives you the ability to win. How do you, as a coach, deal with that situation when you feel now that outside pressure coming on, especially in a place like FAMU where they are very, very on top of you? When you lose, how do you deal with this situation, right? And again, give your thoughts on the game in general.
Look, they not only on top of you in the media and around the city of Tallahassee. Their stadium is not very big. It's not a lot of space, but from the sidelines to the stands, so they really are on top of you, literally. But it's just one of those things when you, and I've seen them win. To me, I didn't think Musa was a very good quarterback. That's my opinion. But what Coach Simmons did with him, every now and then they'll take a shot. But man, them jokers, they screen game was one of the best screen games that I've ever seen in college football. The same thing, Alabama State, you look at Body complete all those passes for not a lot of yards, but they make you defend 53 from hash, or from dotted line to dotted line on the sideline. They get wide, very wide splits, and they sort of spread you out to run the ball. And then when you don't get out there for those receivers, he just catch it, don't find threads, and throws it to the 2 receivers that's standing one on top of the other. I love when they run that series because it's going to give a lot of defenses problems. So you try to force them to run, and you, like you say, you try to force either the quarterback or and a running back. Then if you don't hit the right hole against them, if you try to blitz him, he gonna gash you real quick. He not just it's not paper cuts, it's slices. But they do a good job on offense. But you just have to tune up. The best thing for him to do when you're struggling at quarterback is run the ball and slow some people down by reading off of people. You run your power read game, you run your zone read, you run your counter read, you run your midline. You read somebody because what people gonna do is load the box. So you got to slow somebody down, and that's the only way you can do that. And then you got to look at how many slip screens and tunnel screens and now screens can we throw and get numbers from one side to another.
Mr. Mickens, what was your thoughts on this Alabama State Alabama A&M game? If you're a FAMU, where do you go from? Where do you go from here?
Ooh. Yeah, well, they might have to. Well, it looks like he had less than 100 yards. I was going to say, going to have to just start feeding Franklin and pulling that passing game in a little shorter, more possession passes, a quick slant. But then just keep, because Franklin, he's pretty tough to tackle. You have to start going to him. It looks like they're going to need to maybe bring a few more people inside the box, because it looks like Body didn't have to throw that much. He let Hostclaw go to work, and it looks like whatever set they were in, they just couldn't put a good hand on them. And I don't know what happened at Bragg. It used to be tough to play at Bragg, right? They gonna strike you again. And like Coach said, the people are right there. So you would think it would be a really hostile environment, because they are right on top of it. And it looks like it's, not hostile enough. But I would do some things where you might have to start moving some people around. Maybe you got some guys playing in a spot that they should be somewhere else. I remember we moved some people around one year, and it changed our fortunes. But I know, you have to learn the playbook differently if you're in a different position. But, you just never know. I couldn't tell if they threw to the tight end much either. If you can't get much going, your tight ends usually help open up the game. But it looked like, like Jimmy said, shotgun's not there anymore. And like Coach Northern said, it looks like their offense is more set. When shotgun was there, you had a lot of eye candy, and would throw you off, because the fan can't really tell it from the stands, but somebody that play football, it looks different at field level, that eye candy. And
Yes.
because you got to cover things by instinct, because if you have to think about it, you're gonna miss. So that's where it gets you.
Hey, I had a coach that used to say, that dealt with that up-tempo offense. He say, look, you got a huddle call for the defensive guys. You got a check that they might have to get, and you have to worry about the linemen. They got these different keys, and he worried about what his girlfriend doing while he out of town playing football. So it's a whole lot for those guys to think about. Oh, and it's going to all happen in about 12 to 15 seconds. So you can go over stuff with those guys as a coach, but when it's all said and done, they still have to process stuff at a very rapid pace.
No, listen, that's the facts. And FAMU, obviously talked about Alabama State having a game against Bethune coming up. That's going to be real interesting next week to see how Bethune can do against a team that everybody's looking at that's going lightning speed right now, right? Especially from the offensive side of things. See if Bethune can keep up with them. And if Bethune can win that game, that changes everything, obviously.
Sure does.
FAMU, man, they got Valley coming up. We're going to talk about that game in a second, because Valley, it's almost like, man, Valley, what are you doing, right? You know what I'm saying? But we're going to talk about that game in a second. But now FAM got to go to Atlanta to play Valley. can you imagine them losing the Valley and then having North Carolina Central waiting in the wings? Woo! Listen, the way this schedule has lined up for them does not look great, right? You know what I'm saying? They can't get to Alcorn quick enough. Okay, like they can't get the homecoming quick enough, right? But listen, the call in lines 805-706-5770. Again, if you want to call in, 805-706-5770. I see we got Keep It Up Fam in. Man, thanks for joining us, man. What's your thoughts that you want to share on one of the games?
Yeah, let me ask you a question.
Yes, sir.
What would you think if Tremaine Jackson goes to the SWAC championship every year and loses? Would that be a successful season to y'all?
Nah, man, at some point you gotta get over the hump. You know, at some point you gotta win it, right? So if you're saying that every year, then you know that we pulling the Buffalo Bills, you can't call that success, right? You know what I mean? Even if you say, hey man, you got there, you want to look at that and say, well, you know what, we'll give you a pass, right? Because we got there. Okay, now we got to learn the lessons and get over that hump, right? But man, if you're saying year after year after year, you getting there, you're not winning it, I don't think you can call it successful.
Okay, because my next question following that is, after what year, when this happens, will you say that enough is enough? Would it be year 5? Would it be year 4? What would be the year for you that would be the cutoff point to find another head coach?
I mean, that's kind of hard, right? You know what I mean? Because I think for me personally, I think you have to bring in everything into account. So when you look at this year and just what has transpired before we got to fall, from Coach Jackson's hired like what, January 1st, I think, Coach?
I think it may have been before that.
Maybe like December. Yeah, it was after the championship game, right? So that's Sunday. So maybe like the 17th or 18th of December, I guess, right? He was hired. So anyway, from that point in December to before fall camp started, just look at what he had been able to do, you know what I'm saying? Like for the program in just visibility, in recruiting, etc. So I think you got to still bring in everything needs to be brought under the microscope, right? At the end of the day, right? And then we still got to ask the question of, okay, what is the reason that we not winning those championship games too, right? Like, hey, I'm a Saints fan, as much as it hurts me, right? You know what I mean? But listen, it ain't the DC fault that the Minnesota Miracle happens. I mean, you put the player exactly where he needs to be. He just missed a tackle that he makes 99 out of 100 times, right? You know what I'm saying? You know, you look at the call against the Rams. Listen, I mean, you go to the right place, right? The guy get there early, you don't get the call. I mean, those are different than if it's like, man, the team wasn't ready, the team wasn't prepared, etc. You know what I'm saying? So, because you got there 4 straight years, so obviously something is going right, but there's something that you're missing that you're not getting over the hump, right? So I don't think it's just as easy as like, well, you move on from them at that point in time. But good thing is a hypothetical because I know it ain't gonna happen, right? You know what I'm saying? But go ahead.
Again, around what year would be the cutoff point? Would it be year 4? Would it be year 5? What would be the year that Prairie View would say enough is enough? We've been to 5 straight SWAC championship games, and we have lost every single last one of them in Jackson, Mississippi. What would be the cutoff point?
Look, I'll chime in because like certain things I don't want to deal with or talk about, but I'll look at it like this. Number one, you have to look at the overall record. I think the other thing you have to look at is what else may be an issue in that coaching situation. So just say a school like Jackson State will accept kids with different GPA standards. And people don't want to hear that, but it's a difference between saying, okay, well, you can take these transfers, but you can only take transfers with a 2.5 grade point average or a 2.75. So that's going to cut down your pool. I can tell you, and I'm going to just talk about me being the head coach at Prairie View. I remember years where they wanted us to take all of our junior college transfers had to have a 2.75 or damn near, I'm skewing for almost a 3.0. What good junior college defensive lineman you going to find with a 3.0 grade average? You know what I'm saying? So you have to look at more than just a coach, more than just a team. You have to look at everything involved in your program. Like, how can we get better players? Do we have enough people in the weight room? What our nutrition program look like? How we traveling? It's a whole lot more to it than just a head coach that sits in the seat that makes decisions. So I would look at the overall record, and this is coming from someone with a master's degree in sport administration. So my ultimate goal is to get on TV or be an athletic director. So I keep up with all that type of stuff in terms of,
Right.
you know, what's the coach's record, conference, non-conference, what are the admit policies at that school. So that's all I'm talking about.
Mr. Mickens, what's your thoughts on the question?
Well, my thought is aligned with Coach Northern. There's a lot of data to go with it before you really say that. And to be honest with this staff, I don't see them going to Jackson 5 times, number one. Number two, I can't see a staff get to that game and not come up with the way that they get over that hump. And if by some weird reason they don't, I can't imagine coach even getting there that many times without some larger school coming along saying, we know you didn't get all the way there, but we like where you did, just like we did when we plucked him away from Valdosta. So I think, you know, at this point, that hypothetical is so far out there that it'd be kind of like beating a dead horse. But my thought is that'd be a good problem to have, to keep getting to the SWAC championship, but I don't see it being 5 trips there and you go 0-5.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, you need more context. You know, really, I know it's hypothetical regardless, right? But you got to give more. You have to flesh out a lot more information. Like, obviously, based on the hypothetical question, apparently Charles McClellan and the SWAC must have moved the SWAC championship game to Jackson, Mississippi, because it ain't there because Jackson there 5 years in a row. So obviously, I understand that from the hypothetical question in and of itself. But keep it up. You got any other question, any other thoughts before we move on?
Yeah, because I don't see Jackson State moving away from TC Taylor. I believe it's his job as long as he wants it, and I believe he'll stay. I don't see any other FBS school wanting an interest in him, knowing that he might not leave. It's a possibility, but I just don't see that reality happening. Here's my thing. How in the world would another HBCU be able to out-recruit a HBCU that got over $185 million worth of exposure within 2 years? You're talking about high caliber high school athletes that know what a Jackson State is, coming into college, going to Power 5 schools. Maybe it doesn't work out, so they decide to play HBCU football. They know Jackson State because they know Shadur Sanders. They know Travis Hunter. How is another HBCU going to be able to at least be on pace or out-recruit a major HBCU like Jackson State that has got national attention with over $185 million worth of TV and social media exposure? How in the world do you out-recruit that to be able to compete?
Coach, you want to take that?
Nah, I mean, you know, you totally dealing with hypotheticals, but I just think that that's one thing. The other thing you have to look at, if you really want to be honest, is the hierarchy of, just say, Jackson, Mississippi, the state of Mississippi. How many schools play football there? And if you go down the list, you got the 2 SEC schools, Southern Miss, then you probably hitting on Jackson State, probably 4th. Where if you say a school, and I'm gonna just say maybe just one of the schools in Louisiana, they have some of the same issues where it's a pecking order almost. Now you're gonna try to get in there and get those guys, but what's the realistic chance or possibility? But I do see what he's talking about with the bounce backs, but I just think it's sort of too many hypotheticals to give a real answer. So to put it lightly, that's one of the things.
I'll say this much. I've been right every single time because HBCU football is one of the easiest things to predict if you use common sense. I said once Deion Sanders became the head coach, he would never lose a SWAC game. He didn't. I said as soon as Tremaine Jackson became the head coach of Prairie View, I looked at who were the competition in the West. I said Prairie View is going to go to the SWAC championship every single year because they got nobody else to really that can really compete with them in the West. So it's going to be the Prairie View and Jackson State show each and every year until somebody decides to take away TC Taylor, or if he even decides to even want to leave. I just don't see that being a realistic possibility. So that's why I haven't been wrong yet, is my point, because it's all common sense. It's not something that's a hypothetical if you just put 1 and 1 together and you get 2. I just don't see another HBCU beating Jackson State with the ability, with the level that they're able to recruit at. I just don't see it. It's not possible unless you have another university that can. Let's just hypothetically, we're going to go hypothetically here. Unless you get another HBCU to hire an Ed Reed or a Ray Lewis, right, to be able to match that media exposure, right? I'm being dead serious, because if you take Teddy Bridgewater and you put him at any HBC, it's going to be the same rodeo. It's going to be the same thing that Delaware State and Norfolk State is going through, with everybody thinking that Delaware State is this. I knew they were going to lose to Sacred Heart. That was common sense to me. That wasn't even something that was highly irrational, but they seen that they went on this winning streak thinking that they could possibly win it. No. HBCU football right now is horrible. They are losing to bad or mid-level FCS PWI teams. HBCU football is horrible right now, man. And the only 2 teams that are really able to compete right now is what? It's going to be the Alabama State, Jackson State show to determine who's going to play in the Celebration Bowl. 9 to 10 is going to be Jackson State because of the top-heavy roster. They just got a better roster than everybody else. So they're going to out-roster everybody else with a mid-level TC Taylor head coach that's going to win it all because they ain't got nobody else in HBCU football who can compete or can recruit on a level. They just don't have it.
So using your logic, you saying that since TC Taylor won the championship and Deion didn't, who do you say is a better coach out of those 2?
Deion. And the reason being is because in 2021, Deion underestimated the other team. In other words, he didn't take it as seriously as he did. If he was 100% focused on that game the way he needed to and with the proper preparation, he wins that game. He totally underestimated South Carolina State. Hold on. I'm answering the question.
How do you consider that good coaching, right? But you're saying
I'm answering the question based on the roster and how it was set up. If he had both of his feet in Jackson, Mississippi, instead of thinking way on down the line to Colorado or whatever he planned on going, if he had both his feet planted in Jackson and really took this team seriously, he would have outcoached the other team. But the problem was he took them light. He didn't take them serious enough. The second time he lost, most of his trench players were in the transfer portal. He didn't play Niles Gaddy. So you had a smaller defensive line going up against a bigger offensive line in North Carolina Central. But all of his guns was not on that team. Had he had all these players on that team, it would have been an easy cakewalk for Jackson State. Because it would have been too much pressure, it would have been too much depth and too much size hitting them at once. But when you got your trench players in the transfer portal and Niles Gaddy not even playing in the game, it affects a lot. They came in smaller on the defensive line interior, so they weren't able to really get the pushback like they needed.
We'll appreciate
it was trench play.
Giving your perspective, man. Appreciate you calling, give your perspective, man, and your thoughts. And we're gonna move forward. Listen, I think that listen, if you're the better coach, you know what I'm saying, you can't not be focused. Because how you gonna keep your team focused and you a coach ain't focused? I don't see it out as I don't see how that equals better coaching, right? You saying he ain't play the right players, but that equals better coaching. Coach Northern don't make sense to me, you know what I'm saying? But it's okay. Listen, I ain't gotta understand it, you know what I mean? You saying you can't out recruit, but this year, I mean, based on what people say, you got out recruited. So it's just confusing to me. But hey, you do what you do, but watch my shoes. But keeping it moving, right? You know, we keeping it up. We're gonna keep it moving right now. You know, so I see Tevin Carter in the building. Shouts out to that bad man TC. You know, this might be the TC he talking about right here. This the TC he was. This is the TC he was referring to. Okay,
that TC is still running.
Tevin Carter. That's got to be who he was referring to. He's still running, right? You know what I'm saying? But now let's keep it going. Get into the next game. Texas Southern versus Mississippi Valley. Let's push through this, right? You know what I'm saying? Essentially, Mississippi Valley outgained Texas Southern by over 100 yards, right? They're up. Mm-hmm. They're up in this game, right? You know what I'm saying? In the fourth quarter, up by 6 points in this game. They have a chance, right, to punt the ball back to Texas Southern. I mean, the offense for Texas Southern really hasn't done much throughout this game, but instead of doing that, right, you know, essentially they give them a short field by getting a turnover and downs. Coach Northern, help us to understand why you don't just give the ball back to Texas Southern, because your defense has been holding them at bay all game. Why does it make sense to make that move at the end of this game?
Well, sometimes it may be overconfidence in your offense, or you may let a player talk you into making a decision. The other thing I noticed too, man, Valley's punter, his average was very low, so that may have had something to do with it as well. So, like I said, I didn't see that game, but I know Valley let it go late. But like I say, it's a couple factors that may have led into it. I don't know what the down and distance was when they went for it, but I do know Valley's punter struggled.
Ooh, I would have took a chance on the punter though, but maybe that's I'll save that for later. But yeah, and it could have been I think it was more what Coach said. You got a little extra confidence because you were holding them all game and holding them down, but that Texas Southern, that Renfro guy, he can run. So I wouldn't have took that chance. I would have rather had a muff punt than go for it and try to see what we could do. I just think that's and see, my internet went out on my phone, so I was sitting there thinking Texas Southern lost that game.
Mm-hmm.
That was a good comeback.
Oh man, so Mr. Campbell said he's just here to listen to a team with competent coaching. I can't deal with it. I can't deal with y'all.
Mr. Campbell.
All right, we got Alcorn, Arkansas, Pine Bluff. Now this one, a lot of people had circles saying, "Man, listen, they thought Arkansas Pine Bluff had an opportunity, and they took advantage." Right? Halftime, 17-13, Arkansas Pine Bluff. Alcorn State ends the third quarter up by 3, 20-17. But Pine Bluff finds a way. Quarterback Christian gets into the end zone right on a QB keeper for RPO action. Scores a touchdown. Now, Alcorn on their last drive actually scored a touchdown that was called back because of holding. And then turnover on downs. Wasn't able to get in the end zone and didn't get another chance to get the ball. Arkansas Pine Bluff ends with the win. Christian Peterson, look at that, 20 of 32, 323 yards for the touchdown. First of all, Tony Holt got to be getting the call for a head coaching job at some point real soon, because in the last few years at Arkansas Pine Bluff with multiple different players, he's been figuring out a way to make this Arkansas Pine Bluff offense productive. Let's just be clear, right? You know what I'm saying? You also look at 155 yards rushing. Jalen Jennings, 18 carries, 63 yards and a touchdown. Peters again with that one touchdown that ended. Ja'Cory Sewell, right? Finally, Alcorn recognizes that they should just turn around and hand the ball off, because the first game against Northwestern, I had no idea what was going on in their mind, right? 23 carries, 225 yards, 2 touchdowns. He rewarded you for doing what you should have been doing all year long, okay? Jalen Tolbert, 15-28, 207 yards, a touchdown, and an interception. I think on the year, Tolbert is like 1 touchdown and 3 interceptions on the year, by the way, right? So he's been giving ball away a lot. And so with that said, man, what are y'all thoughts on this game? How do you feel if you're Arkansas Pine Bluff, Mr. Carey? You know, again, just like Bethune-Cookman, a team that many people looked at as, you know, whatever, but now you're starting the year 1-0 in SWAC West play, with everything in front of you.
Well, I'm gonna tell you right now, I can't. Well, I won't be able to hear it till after work, but I can't wait to hear the coach's call because Coach Hampton's putting his robe on right now because he gets me fired up like a preacher. He's gonna really be fired up tomorrow because I expected because G said they got bigger in the trenches at Alcorn, so I thought that the Golden Lions would probably have some problems with them because of that defense, but it looks like it wasn't that much of a problem for them. So and it's fascinating that they were able to win with Alcorn getting their rushing game on track like that. Because usually when you can rush like that, you control the game and the other team hardly gets the ball. And like I said, my internet wasn't working. There's too many young people at the State Fair class. So they took all the internet. But I really wanted to see that one. But that's fascinating. So we're going to have to definitely put on our chin straps when we go there because the Braves are going to be good and mad when we get there. And you know they cheat in Lorman.
Oh man, listen, they come with their own referees down in
man, I'm telling you, they got purple shirts on under there.
Right? So
hey,
go ahead, Coach.
No, I'm just look, Coach. I've been knowing Coach Ho since he was a high school coach in New Orleans at Warren Eastern High School. When they got that program around, it was almost like a semi-private school, but they had a lottery to get in school. And I can remember Coach telling me, "Man, it ain't my fault the football players keep winning the lottery to get in school." But look, so he parlayed that job into going to Kansas, and I want to say he went to ULM for a minute, and he's been around some good offenses. But he's a good coach, a good person. He can go to New Orleans and get players, North Louisiana, Mississippi. But just the ties that he has. But he has done an excellent job with the ingredients that he's been handed, and he made something out of what a lot of people don't think highly of. He's made a good offense. He finds a way to get his playmakers to football, and I think that's the high school coach in him. They say, "Look, man, I got these jokers here. I'm gonna find a way to get them the ball," and then they've been winning some games. But you got to, if you listen to Coach Hampton talk, you really have to love that guy. If you don't like that dude, something wrong with you.
Hey man, he's always getting it, man. He's definitely motivational. And so we'll see what he got moving forward. They actually got Texas Southern next, so that's gonna be a really good game, right? 2 1-0 teams in the sorry, not 2 1-0 teams, right? Texas Southern 1-1 right now, right? Getting their first white win. Arkansas Pine Bluff 1-0 right now, right? Then you got Jackson Southern 38-13. It was 17-13 at halftime. Southern has to be kind of kicking themselves, right? Because the last touchdown they allowed before the end of the half was probably something they want to get back. But, complete domination in the second half for Jackson State, 21 unanswered points, and Southern not able to get on the board. Coach, what's going on with your alma mater, man? How you feeling about them right now? And then I know we got, I think, Doc on the line. I'm going to let him give his thoughts on this game too as well. But go ahead, Coach.
You know what? At being on the road today and making a stop on the way back home, I didn't see the game. My wife attended the game. She gave me a coach's wife perspective, like that. The touchdown right before the half really took the wind out of the sails from what she told me. They were playing good, and then unfortunately, the second half couldn't keep the running game. And I think they may have rushed for 170, maybe 100. Had some decent rushes, but couldn't turn the running game into big plays. And then the dog day fell apart in the second half. They were making plays, and like I say, the wind just went out the sails, and they couldn't do anything. But sometimes, as a defense, you got to get challenged, and you have to treat it like it's three separate entities. And like I would tell guys, there's nothing wrong with the defense scoring if you're as good as you say you are. So, but people don't want to hear that. People want to see fancy football. They want to see the ball all over the place. They want to see people in motion, even if they're not getting the ball. And then they want to see the ball put down the field some kind of way. So I think we want to be entertained sometime. And unfortunately, Southern's offense, even though they changed coordinators, I don't know how much you can change mid-season or in season unless you have either a couple off weeks or you get some people back that were hurt. They did get the quarterback hurt, but that kid hadn't seen football in a month, so I'm pretty sure people were moving faster to him than they normally would be. And I know he's a pretty smart kid, but still, when you hadn't been hit in a while, it's a different ball game.
Yes.
No, that's big. Now, Doc, I know we got you on the line. Just want to get you on to share your thoughts, man, on this game. Let me get you pulled up real quick here, so you can share your thoughts as well. Let me just give me 1 second. All right. All right, Doc. Can you hear me? Yeah. So just want you to share, your thoughts on this game, man. How do you feel everything went? You know what I mean? With your Tigers, you know what I mean, against the Jaguars.
So first and foremost, let me say congratulations to Prairie View for winning 7 out of 8 in the Cotton Bowl. Eviction notice have been put up around the stadium. I was at the game yesterday, eating my turkey leg and watching the other game on my phone. But my thoughts about the game yesterday against Southern, excuse my language, against that school in Baton Rouge, same team. Same team.
Same team. He's so hilarious. Not impressed.
So
not impressed.
Not impressed. Not impressed, especially when your leading receiver only had 9 receptions in the game. 9 receptions on the season. Not impressed. I'm looking like, if you look at it, like it's kind of like what Kevin Batiste said. If you take away the background, go from the vet to Mumford, you basically got the same. You got the same result from last season. We played in the championship game. We gave you 13 points in the first half. Second half couldn't score. Couldn't score. And I will say this about Trey Holland. That kid is special.
Mm-hmm.
Not gonna lie to you.
Mm-hmm.
Special. But a lot of people say, well, we got QB issues, or we probably gonna have QB controversy. I think 15 solved that problem last night by his play with 330-something yards in the air, 3 touchdowns. Defense looked unstoppable in the second half. We just gonna get ready, now just gonna get ready for Alabama A&M down in Mobile. If you think about it, if you look at the season for us this year, other than the Southern Miss game, nobody has not scored against us in the second half. Nobody has not scored against us in the second half of every game except for the Southern Miss game.
Mm-hmm.
And that just tells you something about not just the defense, but the adjustments that Coach Quinn makes, makes early on in the second half. Or when you get to halftime, you think about it.
No.
It was an all around full on, all around game for us. Miles Miller over 100 yards rushing in the game, keep the game at pace. You got Nate Rimber had his first 100-yard game as a Tiger with the long touchdown. Like we try to click on all cylinders going into that Gulf Coast Challenge, and we're not trying to look ahead, especially for that showdown in Jackson for homecoming against Alabama State.
Now, when you think about Alabama A&M that's coming up, and then we'll move on, but just want to get your thoughts real quick. I know they lost to Bethune, right? But it does seem like the team has the ability to put some points on the board, right? I think Southern has been a team that we've seen has struggled on offense, right? And so I don't think that's really a surprise that they were struggling this game against what most would look at and say, okay, this is a better defense than what Southern may have seen so far. And then you guys had the game against Tuskegee, and then you got Hampton, right?
Right.
this is probably going to be the best offense that you guys have seen, though, up to this point. I mean, not including obviously Southern Miss, right? Just from a standpoint of the other games you saw FCS wise. What do you think that Alabama A&M does well that may be a challenge for you guys? Do you think they're going to be able to kind of put some points on the board and make you kind of push a little bit like what we saw last year, right? Where I think it was like a 40, 45, 38 game, I think, or something like that last year.
Yeah, when you think about it, when we played Alabama A&M the last 4 years we played them in Mobile, we start off fast in the first half, but in the second half they have always been the team that's been scary in the second half of the game because they always make the game closer. We always do just like certain bonehead plays to kind of put them back into the game. The thing I see with them is like press the receivers. You know, you really think about it. We haven't played a lot of press coverage this season. We played a lot of zone coverage in our defensive backfield. But we still getting the same amount of pressure on the QB like we did last year also, with Quincy Ivory coming out the edge. But overall, as far as when you look at it, we'll be, I think our defense will be at full strength. Having Jeremiah Wills back out on the field on that line I was happy to see that because he's a disruptive force on the defensive line, and he make players like a John Brown Jr. or Quincy Ivory make them look like QB killers. Go after the QB, and of course with a linebacker play, the linebacker play has been on one also. But with A&M, I think putting pressure on the QB is the first thing, as always. Putting the pressure on the QB, make him react quickly, and not giving him that time in the pocket. Now they are one of the other offenses that that is fascinating to see in the SWAC, but I mean I'm not trying to, like I said, I'm not trying to move down the line to October 11th, but what I saw before I got over to South Dallas yesterday, what I saw, that what happened in Tallahassee, that team right there is scary too.
Mm-hmm.
That Bama State team is scary, and that defense is improving every game. If you sit there and watch it, other than the 52 points they gave up in the first game, right? They have given up 28 points in the last 3 games.
Right.
So that tells you about the defense. Even though the defensive coordinator went up to UAB, it still tells you that E-Rob still runs that defense.
Yeah. Offensively and defensively, they both have been playing well on both sides. Man, Doc, we appreciate you calling in. We're gonna let you go.
Thanks, Doc.
All right, we'll see y'all. We'll see y'all in December in Jackson for the SWAC championship game.
Here we go.
I'm confused.
Here we go.
Did the SWAC
that's a trigger for Lionel.
Did Charles McClellan move the SWAC championship game in Jackson, Mississippi? Like, are we playing the SWAC championship game?
As long as we had a better record, we hosted. Yes, he has. Now, but if we do go down to Prairie View, play y'all in Prairie View, boy, that would be a sight to see right there.
I don't know how y'all.
I would.
Listen, it's gonna be homecoming 2.0. We'll get the fans out if we host SWAC championship game. They pop out for a party like that.
They'll show up for that.
Yeah, they'll show up for that. They pop up for parties like that. But we went to Jackson a few years back. That, you know what I'm saying?
Y'all still popped out, y'all still popped out for the party in Jackson.
Yeah, I know. They was out there. We got championship game. Everybody getting on the bus, getting out there. I'm like, okay, where y'all been? But nah, we appreciate you, man. We going 8-0, so I don't know how y'all have a better. Y'all might have the same record than us, but y'all can't have a better record than us, right? You know what I'm saying?
We're gonna have a better record with y'all. We're gonna have a better record than y'all.
I don't know. I mean, we don't
even go by point.
We don't
go by point. But they're gonna go by point differential between divisions. That's your tiebreaker.
I think the first tiebreaker is something else. We're gonna have to look into that though. We'll look into that and come back, right? But first of all, wait 2 weeks and call me back first. You know what I'm saying? Because you got them bees. You know what I'm saying? That you got to deal with first. Then we can have that conversation. But until then, man, hey, we're gonna move on to our next segment, man. I know this is a segment that many of you guys love, many of you guys enjoy. And listen, y'all know what it is, right? Before we get into the recap of the State Fair Classic, the dog walk, as I call it, right? The DOG walk. That's what I call it. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna go under the headset, you know what I'm saying, and talk with our good coach, Hi.
Hello.
I know Coach Northern has some things he want to share with us on in-season workouts and coaches' schedules. So, Coach Northern, man, take it away.
Okay, so I asked people to put some things in the comments. So one of the things I noticed somebody put in, like the players' workout schedule. So most schools, they have two different schedules that most college teams go by. Either they take Sundays off totally, and the only thing they do is treatment, because treatment does not count against your what they call athletic related activities in a 20-hour work week. So you can do that. The other thing, most people take Sunday off and they may go Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. If you take Sunday off, most people lift heavy legs on Monday and they do upper body or sort of total body where they may do hang clean, power clean, those types of exercises to get the blood flowing. A lot of from the ground to ground to waist, ground to upper body, where you pull, then you set whole body exercises on Thursdays. But most people, Mondays are a heavy day. If you run at practice, you're usually trying to do something to get the blood flowing. So it may be a distance run at the end of practice. Then you start your walkthroughs. But I'm just talking about mostly for the workouts for the guys, in-season workouts. So heavy legs on Mondays, and that may be your only leg day, except your whole body day on Wednesdays. Now, what a lot of teams do, they use Sunday because that's right after the game. So they'll take Sunday. They may come in and watch film. They'll get treatment, and then they lift weights and maybe have a walkthrough type of deal. And then, so you get Sunday as a lift day. You get Tuesday as another lift day. Now that Sunday lift is a whole body, get the bad blood out the body type of day. That Tuesday workout is like most people's Monday. It's going to be a lot of legs, some squats, some leg presses, some lunges, and some plyometrics. And you may do a little bit of running towards the end of practice. The other thing is Thursday is a light workout day. One thing I left out too, some teams on Fridays, depending on what time they leave the school, they will have their red shirt freshmen or anybody that's not traveling. They'll go in for a morning workout before the team leaves, because a lot of times the get back coach is usually the strength coach at most schools. Now, one year my brother was on the staff and he was the get back coach, and that joker picked me up around my waist. But that's between me and him. But they'll get that extra day of workout in for the freshmen. Let me see. If the other thing is how the coach's schedule is involved in that. So sometimes the lift, most people go into an early morning lift because kids don't have classes early in the morning, so it's no excuse. Other places, depending on how many coaches you have within your strength and conditioning staff, this is where the numbers come in. Can kids come in throughout the day and they may get a little bit more individualized attention? Some coaches like to have everybody work out because it's a different accountability level when you in there with all the running backs working out together, all the DBs working out together, or if you're going by a class schedule. So that's a couple ways that teams sort of work out during the season. A lot of teams, I mean, we had this at Southern. We had a sauna and a dry room. So, just say if guys went out and may have had a little bit too much to drink after the game, you will go in there and guys will be sitting in the sauna, whirlpools and all that type of stuff, sort of getting the bad blood and the bad liquor out their system by sweating it out. So it's different things that people do. Now you have people with the cold tubs, the cold swimming pool. Like almost like a pool that you would see in people's backyard with nothing but cold water, or you have the treadmills under the water as well. So it's a lot of things like that people use. Now the coach's schedule. So I worked at places where we didn't even have to come in on Sundays, and coach would be like, see you on Monday. But if I have a question for you on Monday, you better be able to answer it about the game plan. I've been at places where we'll have a game on Saturday and you not see the head coach until Tuesday because we were a Monday off practice team. So the coach sort of left it up to the coordinators. Man, this and a lot of people. When I was the defensive coordinator at Prairie View, I would work so hard and so long on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I would not take off, but I would go fishing some Monday mornings. People thought that was the craziest thing in the world. I might come to the office and have my boat hooked up, but I had worked so much on those other days. And then so Monday is a big film day, and it is how can we survive with what we already have in our system, and then we'll introduce new plays on that day. Tuesday is let's see these plays in practice, and if it don't look good at all or the guys are very confused about it, let's can it and maybe give a couple of them a try on Wednesday if it's something new that you're trying. Wednesday, you're running your plays and you're adding your new plays to the script, but you're doing it by certain situations. Your 1st and 10 plays, this is what we want to do. 2nd and long plays, this is what we want to, and you telling everybody you had the sticks out there and everybody knows what's the situation. Wednesday and Thursday are your big red zone for most people and your 2-minute drill days. So we would sort of use 2-minute drills at both Grambling and at Prairie View. Texas Southern maybe not so much, but we would use that almost as a secondary conditioning drill where we did our blitz pickup at the very beginning of the practice and we did our 2-minute drill, and we may do a 2-minute drill 4 to 5 times depending on how many quarterbacks we wanted to see and how much time we had. The other thing we would do, especially when I was the head coach at Prairie View or when I was the defensive coordinator, sometimes I would let the players call the defense, especially if we were going 2-minute in red zone, and then I got a feel for what they like to call. Do they want to blitz it? And I let the guys, they could sub. We could go base, nickel, dime, Panther. We had our Panther package. It would be a 3-3 stack type of deal. So they could call whatever they want. And now I see, do they like blitzing this situation? Do they zone it? Do they cover it? All that type of stuff. So that's sort of how the work week goes for coaches and players when you tie in the workouts and the practices for the whole team. And then Friday is pretty much a walkthrough, and then it's a big substitution day. So we have a list, and if you see that list, it's about 30 different situations. So you may be kickoff, 1st and 10 defense, backed up punt, we taking a safety, safety return, safety kickoff, field goal PAT, fake field goal, field goal block. You go through all these different situations. And then while you're going through those situations, I may grab a guy that's supposed to be on defense. And then if he's not out there, his backup should be paying attention. And we had a deal when I was a defense coordinator at Grambling and Prairie View. If the defense scored and you were on special teams, you went down on special teams and the whole second defense would go out there. And then the second defense would stay out there until they back up got tired. Because a lot of times them guys expend a lot of energy between running an interception or a scoop and score for a touchdown. Then they got to run down on kickoff. Then they got to go right back on defense. So we practice all those scenarios. But it's a long sheet that you go through on Fridays. And then everywhere I've been, the last play on Friday is victory formation because that's the best way to end the game. So that's it with the in-season workout and the coach's schedule throughout the week.
That's some good dog training.
So you guys wondering, what's going on, how guys are working out throughout the season, or what it looks like week to week. Now you got a full understanding, right, of all that's going on, right? Time in, time out. You know what I mean? And getting ready for the next game right after finishing and completing one game, getting the film in, and getting it broken down. It's a lot going on, man. Mr. Graves here says, Coach, he wants to know about the recruiting board. So don't know if you talked about that or covered that already. So that's
Okay,
something in the future.
I'll talk about that next week. I may have one other thing that I already had sort of slated for next week, but I can definitely talk about recruiting, whether you area recruiting, position recruiting, junior college, internet. You know, some schools have departments where all they do is look at all the FCS programs and the FCS transfer portal. They got a guy that's all they do is go through there and get the information to the position coach. Then the position coach, if they like him, it goes up or down the totem pole. So I can definitely talk about,
Okay, yeah.
And that recruiting board, it get hot and heavy. You know, if a coach don't like such as a guy from, just say Prairie View want to get more kids from Cypress, but Cypress really don't have any kids. The Sci-Fair district, they may not have some kids. They may be good, but they don't fit in. And then you get the alumni that's calling, or a coach that has Cypress, he can't get his kids moving up the totem pole, especially if, and I would tell guys, if you recruit in your position and you like a guy, you may have 51% of the vote over anybody else that has a say-so in it. And I'll tell you this, we had some people, believe it or not, that didn't have Jonte Abell ranked high on their list when I was coaching at Prairie View. Because of weight. If you looked at his film, you could sort of see why people didn't like it. But then if you really looked at his film, you'd be like, man, when this kid get on the college campus, he's gonna be something special.
Wow. Yeah, that's gonna be an interesting topic because I think I have a lot of questions in terms of just how that works together. Because it's a lot of moving parts, right? You know what I mean? And so yeah, that's gonna really be interesting there. So with that said, man, let's get into real quick this follow up of the Prairie View game from this past weekend. Obviously, we had an opportunity to take on Grambling in the State Fair Classic, right? It was a big game, big opportunity for Prairie View to come back in and continue what has been building in terms of controlling his destiny in the SWAC West, right? And so, of course, when you look at the game, Prairie View, 7 points in each quarter, first, second, third, and fourth quarter, right? In order to win this game, I'm looking for that. I guess maybe it's on the recap, right? You know what I'm saying? Nope, not there. Where's the? I was looking for that breakdown, but anyway, I think Grambling had 3 points first quarter, 3 points second quarter, and then they scored a touchdown in the fourth, right? Cesarian T-Set, 21 of 43 for 161 yards, a touchdown, 3 interceptions. Crazy, right? 9 of 12 for Tevin Carter, 98 yards. Cameron Peters, 2 of 3 for 24 yards, 122 total yards, right? So 11 of 24 altogether. But rushing, 220 on the day, right? Lamaji McDowell, 10 for 98. Carter had 36 yards in the touchdown. Bingaman, 6 carries, 27 yards to touchdown. And also Cameron Bonner, 424 in the touchdown. Grambling only 105 rushing yards on the day. And so that Prairie View defense, I mean, you talk about a great dominant performance. We were looking for them to put it together. We said, hey, man, they've had a couple games here and there where you can see them have the ability to dominate, right? Where, hey, second quarter, third quarter, almost the majority of fourth quarter, they kind of shut TSU down. You see UCRGV, right? Second quarter, third quarter, they completely control that game, right? So you saw it here and there, but you saw them even like in the Northwestern game where they left some turnovers on the field, right? That they just didn't take advantage of. This was the first game where you kind of saw from a defensive standpoint them putting together a complete game, and that ended up with 13 points for Graham, 4 turnovers total. And so now you feel like you're just waiting for them to continue to build while your offense gets to the point where they have their complete game. Because I think they believe, I think everybody would say, man, we left a couple plays on the field this game too as well. But what are your thoughts for everything going on overall, Mr. Mickens? I know both you guys, right, seeing it in person yourself too. What were your thoughts on this game, man? What stood out to you?
Well, this is one of those games where something weird always happens. So that's why when you think one team or the other team is in control, you really shouldn't leave because you don't know. And you're right. For some reason, yours shows up different than mine, but the first half we traded they traded field goals for our touchdowns.
Mm-hmm.
So we had a touchdown each quarter. They had a field goal first and second quarter. So once you start off like that, and then the defense cranked it up, so it was 0 points in the third quarter, and they had that good play in the fourth quarter to get a touchdown. But I think that was kind of the difference in the game. This game, I would define it in one word as opportunistic. The defense was very opportunistic, and as well as the offense, they ran as efficient as they could. Like to see our passing percentages go up, but you can't put all of those on Carter. We had a touchdown that was, dropped. It was like really like right there.
Yeah.
But I was telling Jimmy earlier, I only play high school football, but that over the right shoulder pass for some reason, that was always hard for me. I don't know. Over the left shoulder, not, but over the right shoulder, I don't know why. That's always been tough. But we thought he had it because I was yelling and thought he had the ball and was gone up the field, but he kind of missed it. So
yeah, that hurt. That one hurt.
Good game. And I think for us to have so many new players, coach got them ready for that environment. I think pretty good because it's real easy to get lost in the pageantry, the noise. 61,000 people were there, so we had a few more than 12 fans for the Jackson State people that says nobody wants to see Prairie View football. It was more than 12 fans, so 61,000, and some of the people came from schools that didn't have attendance like that. So we had to really reduce the distractions, and I think they all waited till after the game to get the turkey legs. So we came out, and I really enjoyed that game. So that's a tough one because that game, our first games in the West is always our first two SWAC games, and that's a tough one for us.
Yeah, definitely tough. I know that there was a question asked earlier, Coach, about the trouble that was that T-Set was having. I think Mr. Graves asked it about the trouble that he was having. I guess recognizing the coverage. The Prairie View defense was a Prairie View defense, and he was asking, what kind of was PV doing there that kind of made him have such a bad game that he had throwing the ball through the air. I'm trying to find it comment. I can't.
Oh yeah, okay. I see what you're talking about. So if you look and I said this, so and I mentioned we ran a 3-3 stack, and that was our sub package. The way that Prairie View runs their 3-3 stack or 2-12, it's different because they have two overhangs and it's a 3-high safety look. So it almost looked like what most people call Tampa 2. But I'll tell you this, and I said it was going to be probably, I don't know if you guys remember when Fobbs was at Grambling and they had those championship teams, this is the way they played their 3-3 stack. So
I remember.
You didn't know which safety was rotating down. You didn't know how they was going to get to a fourth guy that was coming, which side. And I noticed this a couple times. Big 99 for Prairie View had Grambling center in what we call a jack, where he had him locked out like this, and almost he was keeping him from hitting his head on. And I was surprised that there were I was expecting more. It was some bad snaps or off snaps, but I was expecting a couple of them to go over T-Set's head because of the way. But Prairie did a good job of using their speed. Even Grambling's screen game didn't have any effect from where I was looking. So you got to be able to run the ball on this defense, and Grambling didn't do that. The other thing, I thought Prairie did a good job, which I said was going to happen to people. If you get in third and long, you have no idea It was some plays. Nobody on Prairie View's defense was deeper than 6 yards off the line of scrimmage.
Yes, yeah.
And then when they drop, and I'm looking at it, I'm not looking at it from a fan's point. I'm looking at it from, if I'm that quarterback, who is coming and who is dropping. So when we call it mugging or Hollywood, we're gonna show this look and then we're gonna run such and such. They had all those guys up. Every now and then they'll bring, but when they drop, sometimes they'll drop 8 playing Tampa 2, run a defensive line stunt, and you got T-set running. Like I said, if I was playing against that Joker, he'll see what we call a thunder blitz. We're going to blitz from the defensive right and make him roll. We're going to make him roll to his right hand, which he didn't do a good job of throwing. He should have had a touchdown. I think that was the first quarter.
The first drive.
Yeah.
He rolled to his left.
He rolling to the left and probably you could see everybody on the ground and sideline like point, like just run the ball in. But he just was confused because he had people open. Then what happened? And that's a young kid. He a freshman in my eye for the amount of time that he played at Southern. He's still a freshman. Those looks made him. It make you pat the ball. Then the next thing you know, you scrambling. So it looked like he got all day. And Prairie View's defenders did a great job of what we call plastering with wide receivers, and then he threw a couple of them hot. I was surprised it wasn't in the pick 6. I'm like, he gonna throw one of those out routes or to the flats, and somebody gonna pick that off. But they did a good job of stopping the running game. Then you got to think they lost 30-something yards on the when the snap. It was a bad snap, so that takes off the rushing yards.
It's kind of weird how they do it like that too. Bro.
Yeah, and that change. If you think about it, it was a very close game, and they gave Prairie View their second touchdown, and then I thought they still came back and made it an 8-point game again, and then McDowell is bottled up in the backfield and break off 50, 60 yards because it started back getting interesting, I'll tell you that, but you got to give your hats off to Prairie View's defense for how fast they played and how they made a quarterback look slow, like, he wasn't prepared, but that's a hard defense to prepare for. I've been on the other side of seeing a good defense.
And he was, we can't leave out. And T said it's slippery, so people better not be fooled by how they played against us. But I just wanted to say real quick, shout out to, can't remember which linebacker did it, but one of our best defenders had to sit out the whole first half.
Yeah, Sterling Roberts.
I brought that up on the broadcast.
Javen Jackson was the main replacement.
So he held
snaps that first half.
Yeah, he held it down. And also, they don't talk about it, but shout out to, Ben Stewart, our long snapper. We don't talk about him enough, and the punter, because I haven't seen one of our punters place balls the way our punter does now.
He's been great. Listen, he's been great multiple games. Ever since that first kick, I guess he was just nervous that first one at TSU game.
Yeah.
Ever since then, that even at TSU, and it's the way he punts, I think actually really causes the ball to move differently. Because if you notice, right, I think over the first 4 or 5 games, we've probably seen 4 balls get put on the ground, and this is in multiple games. We got 2 of them, right, and had the opportunity to get like 2 others. The Rice game was one. Saw the Texas Southern game. We got a turnover when it bounced off the guy, right? We also got one in the in this game. So it's really interesting to see how he kicks the ball, right? How he punts the ball because it seemed like it's giving a little bit more difficulty for them guys to kind of catch it cleanly, and it's bouncing off their body a little bit more. Even when it hits down, it kind of moves around a little bit more, right, and gives a chance to hit somebody and stuff like that. But he's been doing a great job. I mean, inside the 20, he had one on the 2-yard line this game. Yeah. So he has been great, right? Obviously, we know what's been bad. Kickoff coverage has been not even bad. It's been horrendous. It's been terrible, like Charles Barkley said, right? You know what I'm saying? So that's one area that, man, you just hope in a game that is close that it don't come back and bite you and hurt you and make you lose a game that you shouldn't have lost. I know with the Rio Grande Valley, they feel probably a lot like, hey man, that was our Achilles heel because you gave these guys a lot of extra yardage that if maybe they have to go an extra 20 yards for a touchdown, maybe you held them to a field goal on some of those drives, etc.
Right.
But anyway, talking about this Grambling game, Coach, I think it was, really interesting to see. And that's why I say you saw a really good game by the defense, right? More of a finally getting a more complete game from them. But with the offense, right, on the offensive side of things, I think you still saw a game where there was still some things trying to get put together. Because just as much as it was, 14-6 game, it really could have been a 21-3 game going into halftime if we make that catch. And I don't know if it got caught in the lights. I don't know what happened.
Yeah.
It like hit the shoulder. You know what I'm saying? It didn't even hit him on his hands. He dropped it. It hit him in a completely different spot. So if you get that back, that's 21-3 right there, right? And then also third quarter, we got a long drive in third quarter. We up 21-6 at that time. We get that fumble. And that was just a good play on the ball by the DB.
Yes.
Really just a good play. Bonner just making a move of field. He's getting open. He's getting up. He really got a chance to get a lot more yardage or possibly able to go score, right? And man, he just hits it right where it needs to be hit. And you kind of lose that one, right? But that's another lost opportunity, field goal opportunity or possible score there. Again, kind of pushes the game a little bit more out of reach. I think that from an offensive standpoint, you see the potential there, and from an OC perspective, I feel like, hey, listen, the play is there. It ain't the OC fault, right? Because the play is clearly there. It's that we haven't executed yet to the point to where we now will put a team completely away earlier than maybe instead of allowing them around, right? But what I believe and what we're seeing though is like every week in and week out, we're continuing to get better. You're seeing this team get better, right? And you see that Northwestern game, how we allow people to kind of stay in a little bit more and ends up a three-point victory, right? When really you look back and say, man, we could have pushed that lead higher, right? Well, here at least you saw the defense locked in and you still pushed it to a 2-score game, right, and put it out of reach. It ended up 28-13. So I'm hoping this next step for us against Alcorn is, we can get up early and then we can really put the game away. And you see us take the next step in the progression from an offensive side point of things, right? But Coach, what was your thoughts just on offense altogether? Just from what you saw in this past game.
Yeah, I think just say and I'm pretty sure Ojo lost that ball in the lights based off where it hit and where I saw and usually when you have it happens in the corners of stadium for some reason the way they have those lights, but it hit him on the shoulder pad like that. That had to be something funny happen right there. He's too good of a receiver to just say he didn't drop the ball. It didn't even hit his hands when I saw the replay. The other one, guy catches it, and I think he thought he was by himself because he had two guys come and he split them when he made a good move, and I don't think he even saw the other guy. And when the guy came in, he just punched the ball.
Yeah.
And he didn't even try to make the tackle. And to me, that makes it easier for you to get the ball out because if you grab the guy, then try to punch it out, he has a tendency to hold it tighter. Yeah, exactly. So he went straight for the ball, and that was just a great play by the defense. But it's one of those I didn't think he saw it coming. But you always want to have more points. Guys, when I'm saying guys, coaches as well as players will look back at it and say, man, if we would have done this right here, we would have had another 14 points right there. For sure 7, because nobody would have caught OJ because the defensive back was maybe 10 yards from
yards. Yeah, about 10 yards behind.
Yeah, he wasn't. Look, and like I say, I'm calling the game and I'm saying touchdown because I see the move, but it just didn't work out that way. But it's just you always want more. Anytime you can rush, control the clock. I think the thing that's gonna make Prairie View be able to really put people away if they get off to a good start on offense and then now people have to throw to catch up.
Yes.
That ain't gonna happen. I just don't see it happening.
Yeah. And this is, and I know that this is just a strategy, right? I after a while you kind of figure, okay, you see kind of what the trend is, right? They're looking to essentially, right? They want to always start on defense, you know, we can get them 3 and out or get them to kick the ball back to us, right? We get some good field position. We go down and score, right? And then we can at some point increase that lead going into halftime. In the second half, man, teams are gonna have to essentially, because the reason why I really like this game from a defense perspective, not just simply that, you know, they really dominated the game overall, right? But they really took away what Grambling wanted to do. You talk about running the ball, they really kept them at bay. Because even if you give back that 32, right, from that loss, them losing that on that punt, right, you still at under 140 yards rushing, right? You know what I'm saying? For Grambling this game. And so you do a good job of keeping them at bay in terms of that, right? You know what I'm saying? And when you talk about looking at them not allowing T-set outside, the way that they were disciplined on the defensive line, and you can tell the difference because in the second half, when they start to kind of let them go a little bit more and let Malik and Jamal start to get after the quarterback a little bit more and not be as focused as much on the contain, right? You saw that they got some push-up feel and actually kind of made him move around, right? You know what I mean? So that lets you know that they were really particular in that first half to say, hey, we're gonna rush in our lanes, right? And we're not gonna allow T-set to get out this pocket. And the thing for me is, when I look at just the SWAC in general, I don't think you have a lot of quarterbacks that I know. Listen, we on the rush 3, we drop 8. You ain't got a lot of guys who gonna be able to put the ball into windows when you drop an 8. It's just not. You got a lot of guys who gonna give us the ball. That's what I'm trying to say, right? You know what I mean? And the one play that really made me realize, okay, this defense got a chance to really be special was, like you say, they showed a blitz, right? Six on the line, right? You know, and I think on that play, right, they had all the guys standing up. You know what I'm saying? 6 on the line, right? And they have Trevor Randall on the slot receiver. He comes down, right, on the slot receiver. Starling is on the left side, right? And so when they hike the ball, Starling literally jumps back out, right, into the passing lane, and they have Randall coming on the blitz. And now he lined up as if he man-to-man. Like, he's literally – like he impressed coverage on that slot receiver. They hike the ball. He shoots straight for the quarterback. Starling drops right back in that position, and he really just dropped. And then now I don't know if it'd be a pick 6 because I don't know if he can run like that, right? If he could run if it was somebody who could run like, I don't know if he can run like that or not, right? Because I ain't seen it yet. But say he can run like that, that's to the house, right? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Because he literally drops right back in that passing lane, and the ball just hits off of him, right? And that's the one that bounced off that Wilson almost caught for the interception.
Yeah.
But, so when I saw that, I'm saying, wow. And I've seen other formations where they'll take Starling, they'll bring the 2 safeties down, and then they'll have Starling jump back, and he'll be covering that zone back there as if he was a safety. I'm like, I ain't never seen that before, right? You know what I mean? So it literally puts you in a position where you kind of don't know where guys are going to be.
Yes.
And I love it because that means these quarterbacks, you're going to have to make decisions, right? And you're going to give us a chance to put our hands on the ball and create those extra possessions, right? It's just going to give us a chance to win the game. You know what I'm saying? He said T-set, T-set didn't run, had all day to throw. We only had 1 sack on 43 of those. But I think that was a part of the game plan, right? I think if you really look at what they tried to do, they didn't rush him to necessarily get after him, right? They always had a spy on him, right? The linebacker there, always. But they didn't rush him to run past him, and then he gets past you, and now he upfield one-on-one. No, they literally rushed to contain him and make him throw, right? That was their game plan. And I was happy to see that the defense was disciplined enough to stick to the game plan, right? You know what I'm saying? So with that said, man, before we get into a preview of this upcoming show, this upcoming game, right, against Alcorn, real briefly, you know we got to do, man, we got to take some time and let Coach Northern talk about the top 5 HBCU coaches from 2000 to 2025. Now, listen, this his list, so y'all get at him if y'all got a problem with it, all right?
Right. We didn't do it.
And you drop your top 5 in the comments as well. But well, with that said, Coach Northern, man, go ahead and take.
Look, so I did this list. I didn't do it in 1 through 5, who I think was the best. So this week I did in alphabetical order. So hopefully, if my degree holds true with my letters, but I started off with Rod Broadway. you have to think about, he's the only person that has won HBCU national championship at 3 different schools. He did at Central, A&T, and Grambling. But, you know, always had a great defense, always played real tough against the run, didn't give a lot of games away, very fundamental in the kicking game. And every now and then he'll hit you with a trick play or two. But I've never seen his teams run a trick play that didn't work. So that means they were very into the details of the play. So that was one thing. And look, the other day, Grambling was in field goal range, and I remember they ran a trick play on the year we went 9-1 and didn't beat Grambling. I remember they ran a fake field goal right before the half that helped them get over the hump against us. Number 2 on my list is Buddy Pugh, South Carolina State. That doggone Buddy Pugh, once again, good defense, good running game, produced quite a few NFL players, even on the shoestring budget over there. Because I know a lot of times, especially towards the end of his tenure at South Carolina State, he and I were on a couple coaches committees, and he would tell me some things that was going on. But Buddy Pugh always had good teams. I want to say he may have had 8 MEAC championships and then 2 Celebration Bowl wins. That was pretty big. Next on my list, Coach Comegy at Jackson State in Tuskegee. And Coach Comegy was real, you know, instrumental in, man, they always had 2 big old defensive tackles, and they would be the only 2 with their hands on the ground, and they just took up space, whether he was at Jackson or Tuskegee. And he had some of the best HBCU ball clubs at Tuskegee, you know, sent a lot of DBs and wide receivers to the league. But he won championship at both schools. I want to say all together he may have had 8 championships when you count the SIAC as well as the SWAC. But he did a good job of putting players out, good teams, no matter where. Well, he gave Alabama State the blues in that Turkey Bowl Classic quite a few times. So, and he did a good job over there. Next, I have Doug Williams. He was at Grambling 2 different occasions and won championship both times he was there. You know, I served as his recruiting coordinator first, worked with his running backs, and then I moved over to the defense side of the ball, and we went off on a string of 3 straight SWAC championships, a couple of HBCU championships. Left, he went out to the Buccaneers, came back and won another championship. So I want to say within a 5-year span, he had 5 years. He had 4 championships. If you don't count them successively, I'm sorry about that. And then last but not least, I have my head coach for a couple years, Coach Pete Richardson, who had, we'll say, 5 SWAC championships as well as 5 HBCU national championships. Now, yes, some of those did come in the 90s, but he did have a couple. He did have one in 03 that he had, and then they still had some good teams, but couldn't get back over the SWAC championship hump. You know, he got the field named after him at Southern. Great football coach. Especially when he first got there, man, just to turn that thing around, it was amazing. And we won the championship his very first year there. I won't say it was my redshirt sophomore year, but I have a lot of respect for Coach Rich because he's not a loud talker. He's a very matter-of-fact guy. And if you need something, he'll do anything for you in terms of trying to help you become a coach. And the reasons why I end up going to Grambling, Coach Rich, I was supposed to be a GA at Southern. And he was like, hey, man, you know, I think you're going to be a good coach, but I think you really need to go outside of Southern football, because if you stay here, all you're going to be able to tell me is what you learned here already. So why don't you maybe go somewhere else and eventually come back? Now, it didn't happen, but I ended up in some good places, getting attached with Doug, who's on my list, and, just sort of working my way up through the ranks. So that's my list of guys from 20 to 2025 with multiple championships, and my honorable mention, I had to put Coach Fobbs, who won a couple championships in a short time that he was in, and that's a short time to me. And then I put Coach Hobson on the list at Alcorn State University. I'm pretty sure some other guys, but I really look for guys that won multiple championships. But and that's my list of the top 5 HBCU head coaches since 2000.
Coach,
Yes, sir.
listen, it is top 5. Hey, man, what do y'all think about Coach's top 5 before we get into this preview for next week's game? Anybody that you would add to the list? He said 03 was a good year.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So anybody you guys would add to the list, y'all let us know in the comments. I mean, I think those are some great names, though. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, you know, y'all already know who I got to put on my list. You already know who at the top of my list.
Who you got, Cole?
Hey, listen, gotta be Frazier. You know what I'm saying? Frazier gotta be at the top of my list. If you don't know why, then you ain't been watching the show.
But I said multiple championships.
You said multiple championships. Yeah.
Say it again.
Multiple championships.
Oh, you said they have to have multiple championships.
Yes.
Yeah.
Listen, 2009 that count as 2. Okay, you know what I'm saying? He at the top. He at the top of my list. Okay.
Yeah. Hey, so look, they talking about my alphabetical order. So this is the way I wrote the names. I wrote Broadway, Buddy. So Doug, comma G, Doug, Pete. So I did some last names. I did it the way I wrote. This is my alphabet.
Coach knows this alphabet. Oh my goodness.
Okay.
They can't even pay attention because it's like that is not alphabetical order.
Hey man, look, I got a partner. Anytime I talk to him about stuff, he and he's in the wrong. He always say, "Haters gonna hate."
That's so funny. Oh man, but let's get into this last preview real quick, man. Before we head out. You know, next week, October 4th, we got Prairie View going to Alcorn, right? Prairie View sitting at 3-2, 2-0 in the SWAC. Alcorn obviously 0-4 in the year, 0-1 in the SWAC right now. You look at kind of the season leaders. Tevin Carter leading 425 passing yards on the year, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, on a little bit better than 50% passing. You got Jalen Tolbert, right? 68 and 123, 2 touchdowns, but 4 interceptions, right, on the year. 637 yards. Bingman is the leading rusher, 60 carries for 355 yards. He was sitting at number 1 in the SWAC in rushing, probably now somewhere in the top 5. Then you got Sewell, another top running back in the SWAC, right? 56 carries, 3 touchdowns, 422 yards on the year already through 4 games. Rockwell, leading receiver for Prairie View, 371 yards. Warren with 7 receptions for 100 yards, the leading receiver for Alcorn. And then Kennedy Parker leading Prairie View in sacks with 1.5. Trevor Randall, 39 tackles on the year through 5 games. And then Stamarian Edwards, 32 tackles for Alcorn at linebacker through 4 games. And so, you know, we talk about previewing this game, man. Alcorn is a team that has been struggling, especially on not just on the offensive side of things, right? But I think this is a team where you look at head coach, you know, said who it was a defensive guy, right, before he got this head coaching job and did a great job, right, with Alcorn's defense. But now it's seeming that Alcorn's defense is having a hard time, right, keeping teams at bay. You know, are they going to be able to keep this game close enough for their offense to find its footing, to get rolling? This past game, they were able to finally, you know, say, hey, man, it's going to be the Sewell show for us. Hand him the ball 25 times and saw him 23 times and saw him rack up 200 plus yards. And then Prairie View, right? I think they're learning that their identity is, hey, man, we're a team that's going to be ground and pound. We're going to put pressure on you and attack you inside out with our running backs and with our quarterback that can use his legs too as well. And then we can also hit you outside when we need to. And then we're going to play solid defense, right? And so when you look at this game, Coach, what are your keys to the game for both of these teams to get a victory, for Alcorn to get their first SWAC win possibly, or for Prairie View to keep it going and move to 3-0 in the SWAC early in October?
I think the biggest thing is going to be, can Prairie View stop Alcorn's running game, because I tell you what, if you make Alcorn pass the ball, them jokers, they'll get some holding penalties. I mean, coach might need to bring some extra jerseys to Alcorn because they will hold, grab, pull if they have to block for, if they have to, I say drop back. But the thing about it, and I think a lot of schools in the conference probably need to start moving the pocket a little bit more. But that joker, they can get some holding penalties if you shut down the running game. And even sometimes on the running game, when you stunt, they will get some holding penalties. So I think that's going to be the biggest key, because I don't think, unless Alcorn quarterback just dropping back throwing bombs, I don't think, having seen them play, I don't think the way they run their routes, they are going to be able to pass the ball very successfully. That's my opinion.
Mr. Mickens, what are your thoughts on this game? What's the keys to victory for both of these teams?
I think the key to victory, from watching both of these teams play Northwestern, it looks like you got the team that makes the least amount of mistakes. What cost them the Northwestern game was they could have taken care of the ball better, and they also, got caught out of position a couple times, which kind of cost them that game. By any means, I don't think we should overlook this team, because you're playing them at home, and we all know how things go when you're playing in Lorman. So, you kind of playing against more than 11 when you play down there. But they're gonna have to contain that rushing attack, get creative on what they're gonna do at the line, and also don't let them trick you into thinking they're only gonna run and then pop you with the play action. I don't remember how mobile or not mobile the quarterback is. I thought he was pretty mobile, but I can't remember for sure. But I think if we get him to put the ball in the air, that's going to create some opportunities for us.
Yeah, let me see if I can see his numbers on the year. Right now, 15 carries, 2 yards. So, not using his legs at all, actually. Hasn't used his legs in previous years either. At Howard, 18 carries, negative yard, 10 carries, 7 yards. This is not a guy you're looking at. So it's going to be interesting, right? So I think when we looked at this past game with T-Set, you saw the specific way that, that Brandon Anderson decided to attack, Grambling. Now, I think it's going to be interesting to see now how he seeks to attack them, how you use that defensive line, right? Uses that extra linebacker that they like to bring at different times, right? What they do this game, because obviously this past game, they kept that linebacker as a spy. Well, when you got a Jalen Tober who really doesn't use his legs, right? You might see a lot more 4-man pressures than you saw this past game against Grambling. So it's going to be really interesting to see kind of, again, the way they seek to attack Alcorn and keep them at bay, especially when it's a team that really wants to put the ball on the ground just like you. And so they know that, hey, we really need to, like Coach is saying earlier, we really need to stop the run early so that we can kind of force them to have to, put the ball in the air, because we believe that we just believe again, right? If you got a team deep and they got to drive out the drive, hey, we can take 5 yards, 7 yards here, 3 yards here, 10 yards there, 8 yards here. But then guess what? By that 7th time, you're going to put the ball in harm's way and we'll turn this thing over, right? We just don't believe that if we put you in coverage, right, we play coverage on you, that you're going to be able to just beat up and down the field multiple times, multiple games. And I think that's what they're believing, right, with this team. So with that said, though, man, any last words you guys got before we get out of here? This was a good long show, man. Have a couple calls ins, you know what I'm saying? A couple got to get one delusionalness, you know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? But maybe he's just a prophet or something, right? You know what I'm saying? Maybe he knows the SWAC is about to decide to have the SWAC championship game hosted in Jackson for the next 5 years, because that's the only way the SWAC championship gonna be in Jackson in the next 5 years. But any last words y'all got, man, before we get about it?
Hey, I'm gonna just make a suggestion. This the coach in me. So this is what I made my coaches do, and it sounds crazy. Write down what you're gonna say before you say it in a meeting, because we would go defensive line coach talk first, linebacker coach talk, then I would talk, or the secondary coach would talk. If it's not on your paper, don't say it so we can keep the show moving. But I like it a little bit because sometimes it can be funny, but you got to keep things moving if we're gonna roll with this show. But I like some of the questions and the hypotheticals a little bit, but when you don't get your point, you can't get mad.
No,
I just wouldn't understand it. It's just like, I mean,
Yeah.
it's first of all, it's not enough information anyway, because it's like I can't determine that just because you lost 4 games. I mean, that may have been great based on the circumstances. I don't know.
it
Right?
could be right.
Yeah. Like I say, that man might be 10-1 and lose the championship game. You want him gone? Come on,
I mean,
Yeah,
hey,
that's
because you got to think, right? Think about it. We got Tarleton. We play UTRGV coming up, right? We got game East Texas A&M, right? We got some other future games that I'm hearing that possibly against some other FCS programs. What if we won those games? What if we win 11-0 and beat a Tarleton that was a number 4 in the FCS, right? But then slip up in the championship game. What if the star running back got hurt? What if the quarterback out? Like there's so many circumstances that like, why did you lose those games too? So it's like, I mean, it's not enough information. That's all I'm trying to say. And it's a bad hypothetical because it ain't gonna happen. All right, it ain't gonna happen. That's why it's a bad hypothetical. Now,
I get it,
man.
But Lionel, I'll give you. This is why the hypothetical went off the rails. I give you one guess at what school he was from.
Well, I already know what school he was from. You know what I'm saying? So, like Zay has said plenty of times before, he called it the pothole syndrome. Now, listen, I ain't say that, but I did think it was hilarious. I did think that was pretty funny. Okay,
no, that's pretty funny.
You bump your head a few too many times, right? You know what I mean, to make you start thinking crazy. So but that ain't my words. I'm just saying. I'm just telling you what he said, and I thought it was hilarious. Hey, listen, Tuesday we gonna be back on. Hey, listen, we got some special guests. I know y'all missed them. You know what I'm saying? We got some Cash twins coming in the building. You know, they want to talk about this state fair win and talk about what's coming up in the future. So y'all be locked in, man, for the Cash twins. Because they in the building, they ready. G always say he got something to say. I think they got.
They got something to say.
I think they got. Hey, I think they got something to say.
Hey, G went to the same high school I went to.
Yeah.
So I was debating. Normally me and my son go hunting with my dad the very first day of hunting season, but I don't think because of the weather, because I was gonna go to the Alcorn game if I was in Baton Rouge. But I heard G not taking a shower or bath until Alcorn win. So that's gonna keep me from riding up there with G if I make my way over there. So I don't know how to handle it. Come on, G. Do it for the rest of us, man.
Nasty self.
Hey, look, I love me some G, man. That dude is entertaining, bro. I love some G.
No, G is funny.
Yeah,
G is funny.
Man, listen. The best thing that's happening at Alcorn is that they playing Lincoln after they play us, okay? Because G can finally take a shower. Because he ain't taking no shower next week. I mean, listen, we gonna beat them so bad. We're gonna beat them so bad. He may not take a shower a week after they get their first win, okay? Because it ain't gonna be.
Hey, look, this the other thing too. I don't know if y'all ever been to a game at Alcorn, but you got to make sure you watch them people that pray before the game. Because I done heard some outlandish prayers. Like, now, this is no lie. Look, Steve McNair got brought to the game in a campus police car one year. Another time, when my very first start, Marino Chasm was the head coach, and he had been at Alcorn. And they say, God, something like, God, we know Coach Chasm back, but please don't let him win this game. So, we got to stop them prayers over there. I ain't gonna talk about nobody's religion, but man, you better watch the jokes at Alcorn.
It's so hilarious. That sound like some chicken feet prayers, like
chicken feet stuff right there.
You know what I'm saying? That sounds different. So, but man, with that said, we appreciate all y'all for joining us. Like Jared say, man, hit the like button before you leave. And if you have not subscribed to the channel, man, go ahead and share some love. Subscribe to the channel. Be on the lookout on Tuesday for our live show with the Cash Twins. On Wednesday, of course, we're going to have the PB Nation podcast. They've been doing some awesome things with the PB Nation podcast, bringing some awesome guests on. I'm not sure who they're bringing on this week for the guests for the show, but I know it's going to be entertaining. And then we got the coaches show on Thursday, man. So make sure y'all locked in for that as well. If you are a member, right, planning to be at the coaches show, right, if you are a member, you might get some exclusive access for that. You know what I mean? We give y'all some behind the scenes stuff that maybe you don't get, you know what I mean, if you're not in the building. So with that said, man, we'll holler at y'all.